It's 1871. The franco-prussian war is over. In the Hall of Mirrors at Versailles, the German Empire is proclaimed. This is a revolutionary moment, the climax of a historic state-building project forged in iron and blood for wars with Denmark, Austria and France. When we think of this moment, we almost always see the Iron Chancellor Otto von Bismarck, or perhaps the new Emperor, Wilhelm I. But there was a third man, the military architect who made it all possible, the man responsible for the stunning victories that unified a nation. His name was Helmuth Karl Bernhard von Moltke. Distinguished as Moltke the Elder, he stands as one of the most consequential military minds of the 19th century. For 30 years, from 1857 to 1888, he was the chief of the Prussian and later German General Staff. He was a key figure alongside Bismarck and the Minister of War, Albrecht von Roon. Moltke, born in 1800, was not a typical gritty soldier. He was a true intellectual. After starting his career in the Danish army, he transferred to Prussian service in 1822. He was famously scholarly, with a deep love for history, music and the arts, and reportedly spoke 7 languages. A critical, informative moment in his career came between 1835 and 1839. Moltke was serving as a military advisor to the Ottoman Empire, tasked with modernizing its army. During the Battle of Nizib in 1839, Moltke gave sound operational advice to the Turkish general, who promptly ignored it. The result was a catastrophic defeat. This disaster taught Moltke a lesson he would never forget. Catastrophe is what happens when poorly educated field command overrides sound staff analysis. He became committed to a new kind of systemic military professionalism. In 1857, he got his chance. Moltke was selected as chief of the Prussian General Staff, and he immediately began a 30-year revolution. His vision was to remake the General Staff into the army's brain, the intellectual center of all military planning. He reformed strategy, tactics, mobilization, and most importantly, the training of his staff officers. Moltke was the first great systems general of the industrial age. He recognized the immense power of new technology. He built a dedicated railway section into the general staff, understanding that trains could mobilize and concentrate mass armies faster than ever before. At the same time, he harnessed the telegraph, which provided the vital communication needed to direct these widely separated armies from a single central headquarters. Moltke also made a brilliant institutional move. After the Unification in 1871, he secured immediate Vortrag, or direct access to the Kaiser. This allowed the General Staff to advise the sovereign directly, often bypassing the civilian chancellor entirely, which massively increased its power and prestige. But Moltke's most famous legacy is his doctrine, Auftragstaktik, or mission-type command. Moltke understood that modern armies were too massive and battlefields too chaotic for one person to control every detail. So he initiated a decentralized system. Senior commanders would provide subordinate officers with their mission objective and the broad strategic design, but they granted them far-reaching autonomy and flexibility in how they executed that mission. Moltke trusted his professionally trained officers to make the right decisions in the field. He encapsulated this philosophy in his most famous dictum: "No battle plan survives contact with the enemy." In terms of strategy, Moltke favored Bewegungskrieg, or wars of movement. He aimed for a quick, decisive battle, the total envelopment and destruction of the enemy army, known as a Kesselschlacht. His core operational design was the concentric attack. His forces would march separately but maneuvered to concentrate in time for battle, attacking the enemy from multiple directions at once. Moltke then unleashed this new military machine in the 3 wars of German unification. First, the Second Schleswig War against Denmark in 1864. Though his subordinates initially bungled the plan, Moltke intervened directly to ensure a successful conclusion. Second, the Austro-Prussian War in 1866. This was the system's true test. Moltke's mastery of railroads for swift deployment gave Prussia a decisive advantage, culminating in a stunning single-day victory at the Battle of Königgrätz. It was here he clashed with Bismarck. Moltke wanted to pursue and annihilate the Austrian army, but Bismarck, seeking a politically lenient peace, overruled him. Finally, the Franco-Prussian War of 1870. Moltke had planned for this war for years. His great right-wheel maneuver was a masterpiece, leading to the annihilation victory at Sedan, where the French Emperor Napoleon III and his entire army were captured. This victory cemented his legacy. He was made a Graf in 1870 and promoted to Field Marshal in 1871. But the Franco-Prussian War also revealed a problem. After Sedan, the French refused to surrender and declared a guerre à outrance. The conflict shifted from the short cabinet war Moltke had designed to a Volkskrieg, a people's war. This new, total form of warfare deeply troubled him. This leads to Moltke's most dangerous idea. He was a disciple of the great theorist Karl von Clausewitz, but he deviated on one critical point. Moltke argued that the primacy of politics ceased once war began. He asserted that the conduct of war was a purely military act, and political considerations should only apply at the beginning and the end. This, of course, was the exact opposite of the Clausewitz famous idea that war is the continuation of politics by other means. Moltke's concept set a dangerous precedent, creating a vulnerability in the German constitution by advocating for military autonomy. In his last public statement to the Reichstag in 1890, he delivered a chilling warning. He stated that future conflicts would be destructive people's wars that might last 7 and perhaps 30 years. He ultimately urged his successors to adopt a strategy of deterrence, rather than seeking a short, decisive war that could escalate disastrously. Tragically, Moltke's military successors, including his own nephew Moltke the Younger, who would lead Germany into 1814, disregarded these final warnings. They chose instead to pursue the decisive quick victory option that Moltke the Elder had championed earlier in his career, but had later deemed impractical in a new age of mass armies and fierce nationalism. Moltke died in 1891. He left a legacy as a brilliant commander, a revolutionary organizer and a political figure whose ideas would have profound consequences for the German Empire. He also left behind one other unique artifact, the earliest known voice recordings of any human born in the 1700s, captured on a phonograph cylinder in 1889.